most merciful thing in the world, I think, is the inability of the human mind to correlate all its contents. We live on a placid island of ignorance in the midst of black seas of infinity, and it was not meant that we should voyage far. He offers guests the awesome grandeur of the cosmic cycle wherein our world, human race from transient incidents, they have hinted at strange survivals in terms which would rouse the blood if not masked by plain optimism, but it's not from them that came a simple glimpse of forbidden aeons, which kills me when I think of it, and maddens me when I dream of it. All because of the terrible truth. The truth that I had pieced together from separate things. I only pray that no other person ever pieces together this terrible truth. No. I wouldn't wish that on any soul. I'm sure my uncle, Professor Angel, would have destroyed all his notes, everything he knew, if sudden death hadn't caught up with him. Simply arrived home from boat, was accidentally pushed by a sailor. His life gone in an instant. And this is where the story begins for me. My uncle had no children, or a wife, so it was up to me to see to his affairs. As I searched through his belongings, there was all sorts of different things, all to do with archaeology. However, eventually I stumbled upon a strange black box. It was the only one that was actually locked. I wondered what kind of discovery could my uncle have hidden in such a box. The discovery of a lifetime, perhaps? Hey, what is this? I recall my uncle having a key on his person at all times, and I remember where I put it. Perhaps that key opened the box. Turns out I was right. What is all this stuff? Cthulhu cult? Cthulhu cult? Who's Henry Anthony Wilcox? Look at this. Some kind of tablet. Modernly handcrafted by the looks of it, judging by the material. But the detail in the piece itself would fool most people in thinking this is an actual archaeological find. Is this someone's idea of a joke? Check out bizarre creature. What's happening? Whoa. What is this place? It's weird. It's all topsy-turvy and inside out, and it doesn't make any logical sense. I don't know if I can look at it anymore. What? Ah! Did I doze off? Ideally, I should have went with my first sense and locked that box back up and just forget the whole thing. However, the whole thing just had a certain lure about it, a fascination. I just had to know more. If I had only understood back then that that is what it wanted, then yes, I never would have given it a second look. So I started with these interviews my uncle had Mr. Henry Anthony Wilcox. Mr. Wilcox tells me about the dreams that inspired the sculpture, while the material itself is definitely modern. The design itself, however, it was made in a more ancient method. The details are fascinating, as he tells dreams of an impossible city he could best describe as a realm of madness, completely topsy-turvy, like being on the inside of a gravitational lens. I remembered when I first met Wilcox, when he called upon me. I can't say I've ever seen hieroglyphs like this before, Mr. Wilcox. However, the design, it's flawless. I'd have to admit, it almost fooled me as being a real archaeological find, if it weren't for the material that's, quite frankly, quite modern today. Well, I'm not surprised, Professor, for I'd only made this piece last night. What? You made this, Mr. Wilcox? Yes. It had come to me in a dream. It was the night of that earthquake. Yeah. You see, I have been known to be quite psychically in tune, and that night, I don't know, I think that part of me may have been amplified. I believe I may have tapped into something terrifying. When I woke up, I was inspired to do this, spend all night on it. Well, you know the rest. In the dream, when I saw the hieroglyphs, only two words came to mind as I stared at the hieroglyphs in the dream. Cthulhu. Cthulhu? I know that name. As I continued studying Wilcox's piece, I am reminded of an encounter I had back in 1908. Inspector LaGrasse! Professor, you still with us? Sorry, you seem really deep in thought there. Oh yeah, Wilcox. Look, I believe you. I think you might be onto something. This could be the discovery of a lifetime. If you have any more of these dreams about the impossible city, the creature, would you mind recording them for me in any way you can? You could be onto something big. What makes you say that, Professor? Just back in 1908, I had an encounter with a young inspector named LaGrasse, and he'd apparently arrested some sort of cult, and he showed us archaeologists who met that night for a convention, and he showed us all the object they were worshipping. That idol resembled the very monster on your tablet. As I recall, LaGrasse called it Cthulhu. According to further notes, Wilcox had stopped coming. Apparently he had had a seizure and fell ill. Were the dreams too much? I can't say. Apparently he did make a full recovery, but he never visited my uncle again. So my uncle tried reaching out to other artists, scientists, and psychics, while, let's just say the results varied about what it is they saw and dreamt about. Some described something very similar to what Wilcox himself had described. Unfortunately, that particular person went nuts and committed suicide. Everyone else my uncle had reached out to gave a more vague description of the dream, as if something put a cloud or a fog over it, while others do recall a city of some sort they couldn't really see. Others recall simply a feeling of dread, as if death was coming.